This is James Lupton, delighted to be joined with Wayne Alexander. Wayne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, James. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me. As usual, as this is round eight boxing, we've got eight topics to take you through from your career. A few questions on
Hey,
each topic. So let's go through to round one, and that is the first day in the gym. Do you remember your first day you walked into the amateur gym?
I do actually. Yeah, it was back in 1984. It was the Croydon ABC in Thornton Heath, Croydon. I was 11 years old. I remember it very well because I remember the feeling of the environment. I felt at home straight away. It was a great feeling.
You mentioned the environment. I know for myself, it always sticks out when you walk into a gym is the smell of the gym, the sound of the bags being punched, all these different, senses all being fired off through just walking in those doors of the boxing gym. You mentioned that you felt right at home. For you, what was it that made you feel so at home and at ease when you walked into a boxing gym?
You know what? It was the initial 15, 20 minutes of being told how to fight, how to hold your hands up, and I was like a natural. I was it's like it I always keep saying it was like I finally found what I was looking for because I wasn't good at school, I wasn't good at home, I was always being told off. You know what I mean? I was always in the bottom of the class at school. I didn't feel worthy of anything, and like I said, when I walked in the gym within the first 15 minutes, I felt like I was good at something. I felt naturally talented straight away. So that's what made me feel at home. I felt at home.
When you feel that for the first time, you feel you found something that you're good at for like I say, for the first time in everything you've tried throughout life, throughout your first 11 years,
Yeah.
for the first time you feel like something's clicked. What was that like for you?
It was like how can I put it? His word dream come true. It was like I said, that saying I finally found what I'm looking for. It's a cheesy saying, but it's the truth. They say everyone's got a talent, everyone's got a gift, and it's like I found what I can do very good. I felt very confident. Within the day of being in the gym, I felt confident. I felt at home. I didn't feel out of place. You know,
How soon after that first day in the gym and you felt that moment, how soon after that did you want to pursue this as a career and do nothing else but boxing?
the first day, um, yeah, honestly, the first day I went to the gym, it was like that feeling. It's hard to describe it. I just, like you said, the smell of the gym. It was on top. It was on top of a pub. Just it was old school. You know what I mean? Like the gym had been there for like 50 years. The old bags and the mitts, old mitts, and it was just like a proper old school gym. In an 80s gym, and that same day, I just felt this is me. So yeah, I clicked on that same day, James.
A lot of kids who walk into the boxing gym for the first time, they'll enjoy that, like you mentioned there, the basics, your footwork, your stance, your hands up, hitting the bag, maybe the pads. But they then soon give up and walk away from the gym once they've had their first spar and they've been punched in the
Yeah,
face. Tell me about your first spar. Do you remember it?
my very first spar.
Or what's your earliest memory of sparring?
Again, I can remember getting in the gym. I actually sparred with a guy that was a bit more experienced than me. I remember, yeah, a guy called David Sawyer. I mean, you wouldn't know him, but he was a very good schoolboy. I remember everyone saying that I think he got to the semi-finals of the schoolboys championships at the time, and he was more experienced than me, and I went in there with him, and I kind of held my own. You know what I mean? Obviously, he showed me the ropes. He didn't go too hard on me, but I kind of like held my own, and he was impressed, and so was my late trainer, John Neverson. So that's my first memory of being in the ring with a schoolboy semi-finalist, a national semi-finalist, and holding my own. And a lot of the guys who were there for like 6 months or longer couldn't couldn't handle him. And I done pretty good with him.
Take me through. So round two will be your amateur career. So
Yeah.
very successful amateur career. Talk to me about what stands out for you.
What stands out is winning my first national title. It's every schoolboy's dream to win a national title. Well, actually, I won a junior title. I went in the schoolboys. Got to the quarterfinals. That was the furthest I got. And then at the age of 16, still a junior, I went in the junior ABAs, and I won a junior ABA title in 1990. I had 5 fights to win the title, and I won 4 of the fights by KO. So that was probably one of my finest boxing moments ever, becoming national champion at 16 as a junior.
Did you feel when you won that at 16 that your first initial thoughts at 11 years old when you walked into the gym, this is what you want to do, and it clicked, that it was all proven right then at that point?
Yeah, listen, like I say, as a junior or schoolboy amateur, your dream is to be national champion. So, yeah, he was like, again, money couldn't buy that. All I got was a trophy and a certificate, but it was like winning £1 million. Do you know what I mean? Money can't explain the feeling I had of becoming a national champion and being in my local papers and everyone knowing that I was a champion, and again feeling good about myself, feeling that I was good at something. So money can't explain. Sorry, money. You can't explain how I felt. Money couldn't buy it.
Absolutely. I believe in the early 90s, the ABA finals were all televised as well on BBC One. Were yours televised when you got to the ABAs?
No, that was the junior ABAs. I won the junior ABAs in 1990 at 16, and then I won the senior ABAs, my second national title. So I won two nationals, the junior ABAs and senior ABAs. And yes, the senior ABAs was on BBC One back in the day when it was on BBC One, and the great late Harry Carpenter done the commentary. So that was just as good as winning the juniors. Again, as a kid growing up as an amateur, I watched all the top fighters. Nigel Benz, winning the ABAs and um, boxing. Boxing on BBC One. So that was also a brilliant achievement of mine. Yeah, winning the ABAs and it being shown on BBC One. And you know what? I remember it very well as well because it was the week that Ayrton Senna died. Do you remember? 1994. I remember that. Always remember that because that was massive worldwide news, and that was a big portion of the sports night that day, and I was on there as well. So I remember that vividly. Here, 1994, April.
What was there added pressure? Did you find that was the highest pressure point so far for your amateur career, knowing that it was being televised, knowing that Harry Carter was going to be commentating, and all these different things and layers to this fight?
Yeah, it was pressure, but adrenaline as well. You know what I mean? You know, Customer once said, "Fear is a man's best friend." It's how you use fear. So, obviously, I was nervous, but my adrenaline was pumping, and I used my nerves in a good way, because I knew that I was going to be fighting in front of millions, 'cause millions watch grandstand. So, you know, I was buzzing and I was very confident as well. So, the nerves done me good. If I went in the ring too relaxed, I wouldn't have thought as good. So I needed a bit of nerves to keep me alert, keep me sharp.
Absolutely. Round three is turning professional. How did you find that transition after a successful amateur career? They always say the pro game's a lot different to the amateur.
Yeah, my style towards well, as a senior, I had a pro style. I was aggressive, come forward, heavy-handed. So the transition wasn't that great. Obviously, it was, going longer distance, getting hit harder by bigger, stronger men. So it was a little bit difficult, but not majorly because I had a style as a pro from the age of say 18, 19. I had a pro style, and I turned pro at 22 with Jimmy Tibbs, and yeah, so my style of fighting as an amateur, it suited the pros. The last couple of years as an amateur, they brought in a computer scoring, and it didn't suit me that well to tell you the truth, especially on the England scene. It was more like tip tap punches and body punching didn't score. So in a way, it suited me.
Did you not struggle, but did you find it completely different when you were fighting people with man strength, people who are stronger, bigger, etc., when you turned over as a 22-year-old?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, luckily I had good sparring. That's where you learn your trade. That's where you learn in the gym. And I was sparring with the likes of Chris Pyatt, he was former world champion. You know, he taught me a lot. Chris did. He was a light middleweight British European and world champion. He taught me a lot. You know, Jason Rowland. You know, I was sparring with top pros. So you know, when I had my first pro fight, you know, I was accustomed to being in there with strong guys or stronger men.
You mentioned Jimmy Tibbs. You turned pro and started training with Jimmy. Talk to me about the first time you met Jimmy Tibbs down at Peacock, I believe, with Danny Williams by his side.
That's it. Yeah. Obviously, I'd known who Jimmy was from the late 80s, early 90s. So you know, me and Danny we was quite nervous. I remember still like we was at the gym, like we was going to the gym, like saying, we got to, we got to look good. Say he doesn't like our style. Say he's not impressed with us. You know, so we was like in awe to meet Jimmy. You know, watched him. You know, be in the corner with Nigel Benn and Bruno and McGuigan. So we was nervous to meet Jimmy. You know, because of the respect we knew he had and all the fighters he trained, we was eager to impress him. You know, so I remember it well. Yeah, 1995 it was.
You mentioned about the sparring, Chris Pyatt, Jason Rowland, and you
Yeah,
were lucky enough to get this sparring when you sort of turned over as a young pro. Talk to me
yeah,
about the flip side and when you started sparring the youngsters when you was a little bit more experienced. And I know there was recently a story come out about Carl Froch and your sparring session with him. What was that like for you to turn the tables and give that experience back to the younger guys?
yeah. Listen, it was an honor, for Jimmy to letting me teach the youngsters, what he taught me. You know, yeah, I felt good about myself, knowing that I was the experienced pro, and I could teach others, like Chris taught me. Going back to Carl, I was told by Jimmy to move him around, and he's a top world class amateur, just turning pro, and yeah, it was. I felt honored to for Jimmy to even ask me to like show a world class amateur the ropes, you know.
When you're in this sparring a youngster, is it easy to switch off the killer instinct to take it a little bit easy against anybody, I suppose, in the gym? How hard is that for a fighter when your instincts kick into fight or flight?
Yeah. Now listen, I wasn't a Libby taker in the gym, but like you say, you get some fighters who can be bullies in the gym. I never bullied anybody. When I turned pro with the likes of Chris Pyatt and them sort of fighters, they never done the same to me. Obviously you gotta let them know. I suppose who's boss. You know what I mean. But I never wanted to. I had nothing to prove by beating up somebody who never even boxed pro. You know what I mean. So to me, what stays in the gym, what happens in the gym stays in the gym. So in the gym, I had nothing to prove in the gym. I actually was told. Well, actually, no. I thought better when it mattered. You got a lot of fighters they call them gym fighters. Some fighters fight better in the gym and try to impress in the gym. I never had to impress. So I never let no one bully me, but I had nothing to prove in the gym. That's where you learn.
On that Carl Froch sparring session, I think you put on your Instagram recently that he surpassed your expectations from that move around. You felt he was obviously mentioned there you was told world class amateur coming in,
Yeah,
but you didn't feel like potentially it would make it too far in the pro ranks, but he obviously did and surpassed your expectations.
definitely. And I'm proud of him. Yes, like you said, I followed a bit of him as an amateur. I watched him fight, as a senior a couple of times on TV, and I remember he come to the gym with Mick Hennessy and Will McCracken, and they called him the class of 2000, wasn't it? 2001 with Dave Walker, my pal Lee Meager, Matthew Farrell, Trevor Farrell, sorry. No, sorry, Matthew Farrell, that's a brother. But yeah, anyway, yeah, listen, I was told to move around with him. Jimmy said, just like, show him what it's about. Yeah, you don't take liberties, you know what I mean? And like I always remember him being like fairly easy to hit because that left hand down. He had that style, which he still had as a world champion. And I was catching him quite a bit with the right hand. and pushing him back. But again, I was a seasoned pro. I was probably 4 or 5 years into my pro career. So I'm not gonna get too excited about that. You know what I mean? But I pushed him back. He was heavier than me as well, heavier than me. But again, being a pro and sparring with top pros and winning the British title, got me a lot stronger mentally and physically. And I always remember, like, being asked afterwards what I thought of him. No, no, he was decent. He held his own. He did. He was. I think I was surprised that he said that he didn't really fancy it because he didn't give me that impression. Um, so I said to the guys that he's decent. He's all right, but it's easy to hit. It's quite easy to hit with the right hand. And I said, yeah, he's all right. Nothing special. I thought, yeah, he'd be a British champion maybe. And like you said, he proved me wrong. He Yeah, he stuck at it, didn't he? He stuck at it, and it's not always the best guys that make it, is it? Or the most talented guys. You know what I mean? He was a good, solid fighter. Yeah, like I said, now I'm proud to say I sparred with Carl.
Absolutely. Let's move on to round four. So this question can be anything inside and outside the ring, away from boxing if needed. What's
Okay.
one thing that has happened to you in your life that has shaped the man you are today?
Oh, bloody hell. What shaped me for the man I am today? Um, Good question. Good question. I'd say off my head, having my two children, I would say, having a responsibility of having to bring up a child, and having a child having to have me as a responsibility. Now I'm a single parent to my second child. So even though I'm a bit older now, but that has made me a better person. Being a single father. So I'll say having my kids. That's a good question. That I've never been asked that before. I think, but yeah, having kids, I suppose. Matured me a bit.
When you had your first daughter, I think when you retired, she was about six. Did your
Yeah.
outlook on fighting when she was born change?
When she was born, yeah, it did change. Obviously, I had a responsibility. You know, I had my daughter fairly late. I must admit, I had her at 29. But yeah, it was still a responsibility. I was at the time. I was when she was born. I was British champion. So yeah, I had a responsibility of bringing up and raising a girl child. So yeah, um, having a kid's a responsibility for anyone. So, but I was in the public eye. So you know, I went to do the best for her. I tried my best. I could have done a lot better. But yeah, she was my first kid, and yeah, I'm very proud of her. She's done well for herself now. She's a mum herself now, and she's a good mum as well. So I like to think that she's a good mum because I was a good dad. You know what I mean? Give her the parenting skills.
Absolutely. Round five. Let's talk about the highs. In any boxing career, there's highs and lows. We're going to start with the highs. Um,
Yeah,
what are your favourite memories from your career? I know the standouts will be, your title wins and things like that. But talk to me
yeah.
about your standouts for you personally.
My standouts of my career, yeah, for
Mm.
amateur and pro.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you just said, I mean, winning my first national title, you know, is up there with my biggest pro wins because it was my first time I was nationally recognised. Again, like I said, money couldn't buy that feeling. Do you know what I mean? If I was given 10 grand and not to win that title, I'd rather take the title. You know what I mean? So winning my first national title, my second one, winning the ABA senior title. Boxing for England as an amateur. As a pro, you know, 3 or 4 fights spring to my mind. I always sometimes change. But winning the Lonsdale belt was one of the best days of my life. Winning the Lonsdale belt, a belt that I watched. The likes of, I don't know, Alan Mitner and Brad Wigan, and I mean all the great British fighters win. Winning the British title was a great honor. You know, yeah.
What is it about the British title? Because it's still such a prestigious title now, and fighters still love to win it. What is it about the Lord Lonsdale belt?
It's the history of it. You know, it's probably the oldest, most significant belt in the world, isn't it? I think it's 120 years old now, isn't it? So you
Something
know,
like that.
yeah, it's like the oldest, most prestigious belt in the world. That's why. I mean, you know, every great British fighter has won the Lonsdale belt. You know, it maybe doesn't carry the same clout as it did, you know, up until the 80s, 90s, but you know, it's a hard belt to win outright. I never won it outright, which I regret. I never lost it in the ring. Um, and when I won it, it just changed from defending it twice. So you had to defend it three times, and I only defended it once. Never lost it in the ring. So yeah, it's just the history of it. You know, it's a historical belt, and it's a lovely belt as well. Lovely looking belt as well. You know, lovely looking belt. I wish I won it outright.
Take me back to the night you won the European title. It was on the undercard to Johnny Tapia at
Yeah,
York. There was famously known for queues going around the block around Bethnal Green, queuing up to get in to see Johnny Tapia in the UK for the
yeah.
one and only time. What was it like to be a part of that card?
You know, I'm going to correct you. I want to correct you on something. I was officially the main event.
Mm.
Johnny Tapia was on my undercard. But listen, we all know Johnny was the main event. You know what I mean? But officially, I was the main event. Still remember it. The Power of London was the headline. Um, but listen, Johnny Tapia was the main event. I remember watching Johnny Tapia firstly in '91, um, before he got the ban, and yeah, so you know, I watched him. I watched him fight when he came back, and I was a fan of his. So I was honoured. It was an honour to, you know, for him to fight officially on my undercard. I remember when he came in the ring live. I was in the changing room getting ready, and your call like shook. I never forget it. You know, I was in the changing room with Jimmy Tibbs and Frank Black, and yeah, the place just shook when he came in the ring. You know, I was a big guy that I never watched him actually live. You know, myself, because I was getting ready for my fight. So yeah, it was that again. Yeah, sticks out. See, that again is one of my finest, one of my finest moments to have Johnny Tapia on my undercard. You know, I got his autograph. You know what I mean? Yeah, brilliant fighter. You know, I actually watched a documentary on him the other day on YouTube. You know, and yeah, what a talent he was.
My earliest memory of you, Wayne, is the viral knockout of Takaloo.
Mm.
Do you enjoy the fact that that still goes around now viral online and, just keeps your name circulating and your abilities and what you can do and your capabilities?
100%. Listen, I tell everyone, yeah, I came in the game as a kid to be remembered. Yeah, when I was 11 years old, it wasn't about having money, being rich, having a big car, big house. It was to be known as a good fighter. You know, for my name to be remembered when I'm dead and gone. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean that knockout, you know, is going to be remembered forever, isn't it? That is probably my standout moment, as in like for the fans or people who mention my name, they'll mention that fight. So yeah, listen, um, I practiced that shot for years with Jimmy Tibbs. I practiced it for years with Jimmy Tibbs. The roll off the left hook. You know, I watched Nigel Benn throw it dozens of times, hundreds of times, and you know, in the gym, you know, I practiced it hours and hours, and you know, it worked out perfectly when I needed it. You know, when I needed it the most, that's when it landed. Do you know what I mean? So I'm proud. I'm glad that you know I'm remembered for that shot. You know, it was a shot that I practiced from from when I turned pro. You know, 2022, and that fight I was 30, so 31. So you know, 9, 10 years I practiced that shot, and he worked out perfectly. Really mad.
There's a little bit of a backstory to the Takaloo fight as well. You guys were in the gym, you used to spar together. I think,
Yeah,
did he drop you, but he went out and he exaggerated it somewhat? Tell me about that story.
yeah. You know you dropped me. You know he did. Listen, the whole world knows he did. Takumi told the whole world. You know, I told the story a million times that they could do million and one time. Um, yeah, listen, I was pro before Takaloo a couple of years before him. We were the same weight. So as an amateur, I remember him as an amateur. He was a decent amateur as well. He was a couple of years younger than me, so I always used to see him in the championships. He always got to the finals and semis. You know what I mean? He was a decent amateur. I turned pro a couple of years before him. Then when he turned pro, he turned pro in '97, and I was like a prospect. I was ABA champ. I think he got to the semis and quarters, so I was seen as a bigger prospect. And I remember always say whenever we sparred, it was like a world title fight for him. Do you know what I mean? Whenever Jimmy said, "Look, get in the ring, you two," Takaloo was really pumped up. Do you know what I mean? Which I understand. I was a prospect, and he kind of looked up to me a little bit. So he wanted to impress, and we sparred hundreds of rounds. We had good spars. Takaloo was a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, Takaloo was a good fighter. I remember when I first sparred with him, I was impressed. I mean, I was pro for a couple of years, and he performed well. But a couple of years ahead, I remember coming in the gym. And sometimes you don't want to train. You're not really in the mood, but you push on. Do you know what I mean? That's what shows a good fighter, doesn't it? When you want to train, when you train when you don't want to. In a way, Jimmy said, "Look, get in the ring and spar with Takaloo." Yeah, Takaloo was in the gym already. I was like, you know what? I don't really feel like it. Jimmy said, "Look, just give him a couple of rounds, Wayne. Just you know what I mean? Have a couple of rounds with him." So got in the ring. Um, Bell went, and after about 5 seconds, Takaloo just jumped to me, bang, hit me right hand, put me down on the in the corner. And I always remember looking at Jimmy, and Jimmy goes, "Get up." I always remember Jimmy goes, "Get up." I got up, yeah. Got up, recovered, yeah, carried on sparring, and I remember after the spar, I thought, I don't know, I just felt embarrassed. You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, Wayne, man." You know what I mean? Tackler's gonna tell everybody, which he did. He told everybody that he knocked me out in the gym. I was there in stories that I was carried out on a stretcher. Seriously, I was there. I was there. I was like, in a way. So but again, I don't want to dig Takaloo out, but he always fails to remember about 2 weeks later we sparred again, right? And I always remember, like, this time it was a hard spar, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I had to show him who his boss after what he done to me, you know what I mean? And always remember I wobbled him in the spar, and he was out on his feet, and Jimmy said, "Stop, stop, stop sparring," you know what I mean? Like, stop sparring. Tackler was like wobbled, and he gave us about 20 minute, 20, sorry, 20 second, 20, 30 second break, and we carried on again, yeah? Then I wobbled him again, had him out on his feet, and Jimmy goes, "Look, stop sparring, stop sparring." And like, we stopped sparring, yeah? And he was turned. I walked around the gym like with a smile on my face, and he was down. You know what I mean? Listen, Takaloo boxed about a month or two later on. He got beat. Told everybody how he wasn't looked after in the gym. I was Jimmy's favorite, and blah blah blah, and how he knocked me out, and how he did it again. And that's how it all started. You know what I mean? For the next 2 3 years, he told everybody how he knocked me out. I was carried out on a stretcher, and when he fights me again, he'll do it again, and the rest is history, James. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's,
But
there's, clearly, there's clearly respect between yourself and Takaloo for what he achieved as an amateur and what he did in his career and how, what he could do in the ring. Um,
yeah,
but
Takaloo was a good fighter, James. I've never said Takaloo was a good fighter. I knocked out Takaloo had never been knocked out like that before. He'd never been banged out like that ever before or afterwards. Takaloo was a strong, good fighter. You know, we had loads of good spars. I would say the majority I got the better. He might say he did, but Takaloo was a good fighter. You know, um,
when he went around and told people these stories about you stretching out and you was not
yeah,
clean, and did you feel that he was taking liberties on your name, sort of thing? And did it make it that bit sweeter when you did get this knockout?
yeah. Listen, in a way, it made me feel good because obviously I was always a league above Takaloo. My achievements and my name. So obviously, he wanted to get hype. He wanted to get a name off me. So in a way, it was like a good feeling to me to know that he kept mentioning me, and for him to be a better like middleweight, he had to beat me. I was the man, wasn't I, so to speak. So he had to keep calling my name and get the fight. So yeah, so yeah. So Takaloo used my name because he wanted to keep his name relevant. So I understand why he done it for. But what's that saying? Be careful what you wish for, innit?
Absolutely. Let's move on to round six. I mentioned with the highs come the lows.
Yeah.
What are your lowest points from your career?
Lowest points. A low point, bloody hell, was when I got knocked out by Delroy Millis. Um, through no fault of my well, through my own fault. I'd lost 2 stone in 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It was at a time where I wasn't training right, weren't living the life. You know what I mean? I was offered Delroy Millis. I knew he was. I knew his team. James Cook and Marvin Stone and South London boys, and I knew he was strong and sturdy. But I thought, I'd beat him fairly easy. So I trained just to lose weight. Do you know what I mean? I trained just to lose weight. I lost 2 stone in 6 weeks. Was eating like a rabbit. Drinking like probably half a glass of water throughout the day. Wearing a bin liner. I can't blame no one but myself because if I'd been ticking over, I would have had to lose probably what I normally lose. Between 10 and 12 pounds. But anyway, I lost 2 stone in 6 weeks. Won the first 5 rounds, but it was a struggle. Lost 7 and 8. So I lost 6 and 7, and then round 8 I was knocked out. Um, all I can remember is getting up and the referee saying 6, 7. You know what I mean? Yeah, I remember going in the changing room crying my eyes out. I always remember that. Johnny Eames. I hope you don't mind me mentioning his name. I think Johnny Eames had somebody on the bill, and I was like crying like a little baby. I remember Johnny looking at me like saying, "Fuck it," like what happened to you? Like the way I was crying. So he looked at me like kind of felt sorry for me. Um, but yeah, that was a very very down moment for me. I mean, I was distraught. I hated losing. Losing to me was like death. Man, just losing to me was not an option in my career, and that was probably the worst time in my boxing career. You know, yeah, that was shown on TV as well, Sky. Um, yeah, thinking about it now brings that memories. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel sad thinking about it now. 20 years ago, that was, this because I posted it the other day. 20 years ago, yeah, 20 years ago. This December. No, I'm sorry, December gone. It was 20 years. Do you remember it? Cardiff Ice Ring.
Why do you feel in that camp you was ill-disciplined?
Why? I was just lazy for the previous 6 months before that. I weren't living the life. I weren't training. I went for a lazy patch, didn't I? Just going out with the boys, and what I mean, just got lazy. I can't. Yeah, just I blame myself. I just got lazy. I couldn't be asked training, and yeah, just got lazy and weren't living the life. I always remember, like, let me go back. I always remember before the fight, because I was confident of winning the fight. I had like about 50 guys that came up from like Croydon, London to watch, and they was all saying like, Cardiff's a brilliant night out. Like, Cardiff's a wicked night out, way. You're gonna love it, way. You know what I mean? I was thinking about the fight. I was thinking about going out afterwards, and I always remember after the fight, I was in my changing room like crying, and I went to my hotel crying, and I remember the boys the following day saying, "Yeah, Wayne, you had a fucking brilliant night out, brilliant night out." My lip was out here, and I was still in tears. I was like, you know what I mean? So that was my first and last time in Cardiff. I've never been there since. um,
Let's move on
never
to
been.
let's move on to round seven, Wayne. Retirement. A lot of fighters struggle with retirement. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you struggle to retire, or was it the right time, or did you struggle with leaving boxing behind and not having that routine no more?
Do you know what? not as much as a lot of fighters, or as much as you'd think, because again, I'm not proud of it, but I was lazy, you know. Don't get me wrong, I trained very hard for my fights. Yeah, everyone knows I trained very hard for my fights, but when I weren't training, I weren't doing nothing. I weren't living the life. Do you know what I mean? I'd have 2, 3 months off, not doing nothing. I was lazy, which is not a good trait to have. So all you fighters out there, young fighters, being lazy is not the one. Um, I was 33, so I was past my prime. I'd done the majority of what I wanted to do. I should have done more. Definitely, I should have done better. But I made a name for myself, won a few titles, and yeah, my last fight got stopped in the first round, and I just knew that it was over. So I didn't struggle as hard as a lot of fighters do, because some of these guys who love training still think they got it. Do you know what I mean? When their career's over, they still train hard, didn't they? I think they got it. But I knew that. Listen, mate, you're a bit of a shot fighter now. You don't fucking train, and losing to me wasn't an option. So I didn't want to be a journeyman. Never would I be a journeyman. So I wasn't. Of course, obviously, I was a bit disappointed that I didn't do better, didn't earn more money. But no, it wasn't that hard for me, honestly, because I had 25 years in the game, and I made a name for myself and become a champion. So it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, or some people thought it might have been.
You just mentioned there about you didn't want to be a journeyman. Losing wasn't an option to you. So
Yeah,
you got out at the right time, really.
yeah,
When I go back, you mentioned obviously earlier on a friend of yours, Danny Williams, and he's continued his career, and he's still in the ring in his early 40s. What do you make of that? Are you against what he's doing?
you know what? I've said it to people already. I'm not going to make a comment on that. Me and Danny still speak. Danny's one of my longest best friends. He's a genuine good guy. You know what I mean? Lovely, lovely man. He's like a brother to me. We're 4 days apart in age. You know what I mean? So all I will say is, Danny will do what he wants to do. I'm not going to make an opinion on it. Danny's like a brother to me, and I wish him all the best. He'll do what he feels. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to make a comment on anything he does.
Absolutely. Um, Final round, round 8. Looking back on your life and career, are you proud?
Yeah, I'm proud. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud. Like I said, my dream as a boxer was to have moments like this. Do you know what I mean? For people to still remember me. For someone to say, Wayne, I want to give you an injury about your career. So, yeah, I'm proud. I know I should have done better, but I think most people in life, don't they? I mean, even yourself probably says you wish you'd done certain things more, or you'd be more dedicated in certain things, and so I think if I'd won 2 world titles, I probably want to do 3. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I've just got to be happy with what I did, and yeah, I am proud. I am proud of what I achieved. Yeah.
And are you happy? A lot of fighters leave boxing behind and are not happy. Are you happy?
Like I said, yeah. The word content. Yeah. I'm happy most of the time. Yeah. So again, I've never been depressed, or what I mean, down in the dumps of my career being over. So yeah, I would say I'm content. I've got my 2 beautiful daughters. I've got a granddaughter. You know, I still watch boxing. I love boxing. I referee and judge on the white collar on licensed circuit. I was at a show with Ian Napper a couple of weeks ago. Watch Boatsy Aziz. So I still follow the game. On YouTube. Um, so yeah, so I'm not in the ropes, but I'm still involved, kind of outside of it. So I'm happy. Yeah, I'm more happy than yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, Wayne, I want to thank you very much. It's been a pleasure going through your journey with
Thank
you.
you.
But again, thanks for joining me.
No worries, James. You take care. Keep up the good work. Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne. Andrew.